Hello, everybody, and welcome to day 2 of our Setting Boundaries Challenge. Today, I would like to introduce the first step of a 3-step process that's going to help us reset and reinforce boundaries. So, for the very first step is to decide. We need to decide for ourselves what's okay and what's not okay. If you can work with a specific scenario, it's going to be more helpful as you go through these steps. So the first step is to think about a situation or a person that you need to set a boundary with. And I want you to think about, how do you know that that boundary's been crossed? What is the issue at hand? And then I need you to think about and talk about what's okay and what's not okay. So let's work with an example here. Perhaps we have a leader who continuously asks us for things after hours. Well, the boundaries that has been crossed is, my need for balance, and my need for, at the end of the workday, I'm not available. So what's okay is, I guess, if it's an emergency, it would be okay to contact me. But if it's not an emergency, then I would prefer not to be contacted with the expectation that I reply. So we need to get really specific here. So the other thing I want you to think about is what date, time, or circumstance restraints do you have? So those are the parameters we put around the boundary. So it could be, if it's 5 minutes after the end of the workday, maybe that's okay. But if it's after half an hour after we were supposed to have left for the day, maybe that's the hard boundary that I need to set. So I want you to think about where your limits are, whether it's dates, so like no contacting me during my vacation on these dates, or it's time. Maybe I have a bit of a buffer where I allow like a half hour of interference versus after that half-hour mark, I'm not available. Or circumstance. So that's the thing that I talked about with the emergency. If it's an emergency, maybe I make an exception. So you need to get really clear on where the parameters and boundaries are around your boundary. And then finally, I want you to think about, if this boundary is crossed, what proactive steps can you take next time to prevent this from happening again? So if, for example, using the example that we're using, my leader contacts me after that half-hour mark, and it's not an emergency, and maybe I reply anyways. What I can say next time is to go back and say, hey, you contacted me at around 5:45. I usually work 8 till 5. If it's an emergency, I totally understand, but if it's after hours, I would prefer to not be requested to respond until the next business day. Does that work for you? And if not, then we can talk about, we will have to have a hard conversation about the if not, right? So that's step 1. Do your work, maybe just pop down in the comments what your scenario is, and we will be back with step 2 tomorrow. See you.